Hi, my name is Ninkasi. I'm co-founder with Jamie Floyd of Ninkasi Brewing Company. We started the brewery back in 2006 in Eugene, and over the last 13 years, we've grown to be the 35th largest craft brewer in the country. Certainly couldn't have done that without all the customers and wonderful retail partners we've had over the years, and one of our key original partners was Henry's Tavern in Portland.
Back when Ninkasi and I started Ninkasi, we were self-distributing beer in the Eugene area. We made a relationship with a wholesale partner in Portland to sell our beer. The wholesaler up there didn't want to sell our IPA. They really only wanted to sell our pale ale. They had a different IPA in their book and really wanted to support that other brewery. And I decided I didn't really make IPA for over a decade to have some people tell me what I could and couldn't sell. So after doing the beers for the week, I would drive up to Portland and start selling Total Domination IPA by hand.
I worked at Henry's 6 months after it opened, when we had lines around the block on a Tuesday. Jamie just came in with a very humble but assertive, just confidence, and I'll never forget, he had his mason jars with him, and it takes a while to try to get to the actual decision maker, and we had some crossover, and there's a gentleman named Lion Decker, which I'm sure you'll hear his name many times, because he's another dynamic personality, and I think that's ultimately what really helped seal Jamie's fate for Ninkasi at Henry's.
We didn't really have any fancy support stuff, so I would bring a 5-gallon keg of beer up to Portland with a bunch of mason jars and fill the mason jars fresh with beer and walk into accounts. This is what I was planning to do when I walked into Henry's on that fateful day. I had already come to Henry's a couple of different times and had over the years, but a couple of times with just more to take a look at the land, to see who was in management, what was going on there, and showed up about 2:30 in the afternoon, in between the lunch rush and before happy hour. And Jerome Weisenborn was actually working behind the bar that day. I asked if the active manager was on duty, and Tammy Lochner came over and talked to me for a while, and luck would have it that Lion, who was the general manager at the time, would be hosting meetings the following week. So that following Friday, I came back up to Portland with 6-barrel of Total Domination and some mason jars, and filled up my mason jar and took it up to Portland City Grill, where Lion was holding camp. I think he was doing some interviews as well as reviewing the beer list for the next menu change. And it was an amazing experience in that, as many people know, the way that it works there is if you're in the top 33, then you're doing great. If you're in the middle 33, you're doing all right. And if you're in the bottom 33, you're going to be replaced. And at that time, it was such an emotional play to get beer anywhere. It was the most rational thing that had ever happened in terms of selling beer. And it was really awesome to start a relationship that way. We immediately started selling Total Domination IPA. Pretty quickly, we grew to have as many as 4 brands of beer within that first year. We added Believer, and then Triceratops, and then the following year, Otis. And all of those beers did really well. Total Domination and Triceratops were the 2 best-selling IPAs for a long time. We built a really great sense of community there. I worked closely with the staff to do staff trainings, not just about our beers, but all of the styles that they had. So to really give a deeper education, it was really important back then that people in the beer sales community really learned what those beers were and try to get the best beers, the right beer, into their customers' hands.
One of the things I love about this beer is that there's a story behind it. And that story is one of authenticity and partnership that is consistent with our core values and who we are as a company. Our remarkable hospitality comes from real food prepared scratch in our kitchens. Our service experience delivered by exceptional people who are engaging our guests to provide experiences that matter. This beer was developed by our people in that same spirit of authenticity. So there's a story behind it that's much bigger than the attributes and the pairings. It's a story of our core values and our partnership with one of our key suppliers.
So we set up basically a sensory and tasting session at the office of Downtown First in Seattle, and Jamie flew up for it, and we had the entire Seattle team there, and myself, and we set up cheese and beer and different sweets, and went through the whole how things pair, and just started talking about it. And I think that there was this mutual beyond respect, I don't even know how to call it, but Jim, I remember Jim being really excited about it, and everybody else in the room being really excited about it. And Jamie, when he gets in front of a camera or even a team of people, clicks into this whole nother way where people just kind of open up and receive the information. And one thing led to another, and by the time I basically had to leave because I had another meeting, I had to rush to the airport. By the time I got home, I think there was an email or a call from Jamie that said, I think we're gonna do a really big project together.
The name 12th Street IPA is really just an extension of the development process for the beer itself. Unlike a lot of private label products, which are literally just slapping a label on same old product to call it something different, this beer was truly developed in partnership with the Ninkasi team.
I'm Daniel Sharp, Director of Brewing Operations at Ninkasi Brewing Company, and today we're going to talk about the 12th Street IPA. So for the development of this beer, I was approached by Jerome to come up with a recipe for the RUI group. And so myself and the brewers got together and came up with a number of different IPA options to present. One of those recipes, the one that we're presenting here today, 12th Street IPA, was designed and developed by one of our brewers in-house, Chris Archer, which is a typical way we approach recipes as a brewing group. Is everybody, all of our brewers, develop recipes and present them. The RUI team came down to Eugene and met with the rest of our team, and we presented the 3 final recipes to the team for evaluation, and evaluated them similarly to the way we would with the rest of our team.
So it's great to make beer for Henry's. The 12th Street IPA is a collaboration. Having team members come down here and experience the brewery and getting a chance to select a number of beers that our team worked on hard to create different flavor experiences to find the best match, and we came up with the 12th Street IPA. 12th Street IPA has, as you can see, is sort of a light golden ale, this white tight head. It's bright, so it doesn't have haze to it. It's not a hazy IPA. It has really rich sort of citrus, tropical, as well as stone fruit, hop aroma and flavor. All of these have been balanced sort of on the medium intensity so that they don't overshine each other. There is a cereal note, somewhat sort of a biscuity cereal note to the malt flavor to it. And then that just really supports all of the hop flavor that comes through. It is 44 IBUs, which is moderate in terms of IPAs these days. So it has good firm bitterness, but most of that bitterness comes from late hop additions, which really gives full flavor and aroma. The finish is nice and crisp. Hops sit on your palate for a minute, but it finishes nice and tight and ready for the next sip.
One of the reasons we're so excited to be producing this beer in partnership with Ninkasi is that the two companies share the same core values. From the first time Jamie came up to Seattle to spend time with our team and tell the Ninkasi story, it was clear that the passion, the enthusiasm, and what Ninkasi is aspiring to do is very similar to what Restaurants Unlimited aspires to do.
Here's to you, RUI, for 50 years. Thank you for the collaboration.
Myself and the brew team included are very excited to be working with RUI and presenting this beer to all your restaurants. So thank you and cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.